is 5th, 2024. We are in the book of Jeremiah, and there's some interesting things here that God is wanting to use Jeremiah for, to give warning to the king, and they don't take it very well, the king here. And in fact, it's a big deal because God's warning them. And so we see that Jeremiah, we find that he's banned from going to the house of the Lord. So obviously someone has put a ban on him. Right? People didn't like Jeremiah. Okay, that's what we're saying. So he's got Baruch, who's going to write the things that Jeremiah is telling him to write as from the Lord. And then they're going to take that and they're going to go into the house of the Lord. They're going to go in before the king and they're going to present these words. Okay, and so we see all that happening. And they finally get it to the king. Well, let's go to verse 15, chapter 36. It says, "Sir, sit down and read it." So Baruch read it to them. When they heard all the words, they turned to one another in fear. And they said to Baruch, "We must report all these words to the king." And they asked Baruch, "Tell us, please, how did you write all these words? Was it at his dictation?" And Baruch answered them, "He dictated all these words to me while I wrote them with ink on the scroll." And the official said to Baruch, "Go and hide, you and Jeremiah, and let no one know where you are." Like, what? Well, they understood that, guess what? These words of God through Jeremiah, written down by Baruch, given to the people, the leaders there, it's going to put Jeremiah and Baruch's life in danger because the king is not going to receive them well. And so verse 20, they go into the court before the king. And verse 22 says, "It's the 9th month. The king was sitting in the winter house. There was a fire burning. And as Jehudi," verse 23, "read 3 or 4 columns, the king would cut them off with a knife and throw them into the fire in the fire pot until the entire scroll was consumed in the fire." And here's the key verse, 24. "Yet neither the king nor any of his servants who heard all these words was afraid, nor did they tear their garments. Even when they were urged by these others not to burn the scroll, he would not listen." And he wanted to seize Baruch and Jeremiah the prophet, but the Lord hid them. And so then what's God going to do, Jeremiah? Hey, rewrite everything I already told you, right? It's going to go bad for Jehoiakim. This guy had no fear of God. And we're kind of in that kind of situation in our world and in our country where there's a lack of a fear of God. Now, we don't have to rile up against every evil thing that's going on in our country and in our world. We don't have to react and be reactionary. I think God's called us to be moving forward in these things and declaring truth with love and, coming up against evil, but not always just in a reactionary way that oftentimes happens. And so what we have to realize is that not everyone's going to agree, not everyone's going to receive. But that which we know, that which we have understood, we need to receive and live it out. Till next time, keep growing little by little.